Hi you guys. So this is part 2. Didn't realize that I was going to make this a part 1 and a part 2, so I don't really have much of an introduction for this video. I will link down below my part 1 video if you haven't checked that out. But we're gonna jump right back in, literally right into the next bit of advice. And again, as I said in part 1, stay tuned for the last little piece of advice because it's a doozy. Okay, next, let's talk how baby clothing and diaper sizes work because it's very confusing when you are a first-time mom. So starting with clothing, there's preemie clothes, there's newborn size, then there's 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, like it goes in 3-month increments. So how that works is the higher size, like let's look at 3 to 6. If it says it's for 3 to 6 months, that means babies should be grown out of it by 6 months. So it doesn't even mean that they're really supposed to fit into it up to 6 months. It's that they're supposed to be grown out of it by then. That does not always happen. My girls were in 0 to 3 until they were like 5 months old. So babies range in size. Then you have like 4-month-old babies that are in like, 12-month size baby clothing. It varies, but that is how it's supposed to work. If you go on Google and search baby clothing size, there are so many graphs that show you like, because usually it's by weight. So they'll show you like typically, up to 12 pounds is in this size. They even have brand specific ones like Gerber runs a little bit long, whereas Carter's is like very true to size. Target brand runs a little small, so there are so many resources online for all of that, but that is how it usually works. The baby is supposed to be grown out of it by the highest number, and it's by weight. My girls, as I said, were in 0 to 3 until they were like 5 months old, and then they were in 3 to 6 for about 3 weeks, and they outgrew that. They hit a huge growth spurt, and so they jumped up. Now they're in like 9 months, and they're 7 months old. So every baby is different, but that's how it works. For diaper sizes, it's also by weight. You can also look those up online, but also most diaper boxes and packages have the weight, like this should be babies this size to this size. Real quick, I thought that I would just give you guys a very, very brief demonstration. So here's a diaper. You will get to know diapers very quickly. Give yourself a day and a half with a newborn. You'll be an expert. But in case you're a little new to diapers, this is the front. This is the back. These little tabs detach and then, or they open up and then they attach right here. They're very sticky. Everything's very stretchy. So these are Huggies. So not all diapers look exactly like this, but they in general look very similar. Actually, no, these aren't Huggies. These are Kirkland's, which are like sort of Huggy adjacent. So anyway, on the front, you see not this, but these like kind of faded tab looking things. So that has to do with the size. So most of the time when you fold this forward, this tab forward, it's going to land like around in this area. But once your baby starts to outgrow your diapers, the tab is going to get closer and closer over here. So if the tab is not reaching beyond these little marks, that means that your baby is starting to outgrow that diaper size. So keep that in mind. And then also most diapers nowadays have the pee strip right here. So it starts out yellow or a light color. And then if your baby goes pee-pee in their diaper, this will turn to a darker color. So most of the time it's yellow and then it will turn blue after they've gone to the potty. So that's how diapers work. You are gonna find your diaper brand. Every mom and every baby has their diaper brand and they will swear by it. They will tell every mama, make sure you get Pampers, make sure you get Huggies, make sure you get Millie Moon, whatever it is. But to be honest, you can't take anybody's advice. You have to find your diaper brand. And it depends on your baby. It literally depends on the shape of your baby. It also depends on the skin of your baby. Some diapers will break people out, break babies out, and other ones won't. I've heard so many people say like, oh, don't get Pampers, it broke my baby out. And then other people are like, don't get Huggies, it broke my baby out. It just depends on the individual. So if you don't like a brand, it doesn't mean it's a bad brand. It just didn't work for you. For us, Pampers didn't really work. Target brand didn't really work. We love Huggies, but I've heard so many other people say they hate Huggies. I've wanted to try Kotari. I've wanted to try Millie Moon, but I haven't because they don't carry them near us. But you just have to try. So it's great if you get some from your registry, but you're gonna just have to try different brands, and you and your baby will find your brand that you really like. All right, two more, and then we're done. First, when it comes to milestones are very broad, very broad. So please don't compare you and your baby's journey to someone else. I have a friend who her baby was like literally pulling himself up and trying to learn to walk at 4 months old. Whereas my babies are 7 months old and they just learned, and they're still learning, to sit up unassisted. And other babies, they won't sit up unassisted till they're 9 months old. It literally is so different for every baby. So just because your baby maybe is rolling over both directions at 4 months old doesn't make your baby better than the baby that takes 8 months to learn to roll. Okay. So, and vice versa. Okay. So, and some babies excel vocally and they are babbling like crazy really young, but physically they're taking their time, and vice versa. So when it comes to milestones, hold them very loosely. It's good to have an idea because, yeah, if your baby is like 10 months old and can't even hold their head up, then yeah, that would be something. Talk to your pediatrician about. Maybe they need to get into physical therapy. But your pediatrician is already going to be, all over that, okay? So please don't beat yourself up. Don't be frustrated with your baby. I have a theory, which I think is 100% correct, that it depends on your baby's motivation. Having twins, I see this in action, which is how I came up with this theory. I have a baby who she wants to move so badly. She sees something across the room, she wants to get to it. So she has been a rolling queen, and she doesn't know how to crawl yet, but she is so motivated to learn, and she just like goes around in circles on her side and stuff. Like, she wants to move so bad. Whereas my other baby is so content. You lay her somewhere and she's like, oh my gosh, what a beautiful place to lay. Thank you so much. This is my life now. And she's so happy. And so she's not as motivated, but I know there's nothing, she's not behind on anything. There's nothing remotely wrong. She's just not motivated. She is motivated to learn to sit. And so she's crushing that. She's doing great. But like crawling, she's going to take, hold on. With crawling, she's going to take a little bit longer to learn to crawl because she's just not as motivated as her sister is. But she's crushing vocalization, all that kind of stuff. So your baby is going to be motivated for certain milestones and not as motivated for others, but it doesn't mean that they're behind. So please don't compare yourself or your baby to others. Okay, and here's the final one. Let me take a drink of water before. I'll try to not go down rabbit holes with this. This is a situation I am still frustrated with because this did not have to happen. So I mentioned that my babies were very small when they were born. One of my babies was like 5 pounds, 11 ounces, and the other one was 4 pounds, 11 and 5.8, I think is what they weighed. But they were very small, both of them, but especially my itty bitty one, my little Winnie. She was very small. She rightfully could have easily been taken to the NICU for at least a couple of days. She never was, which I'm very thankful and I'm very blessed, but she rightfully could have been. And while we were in the hospital for about 4 days, they had to do so many tests on her because her body didn't want to regulate temperature, blood sugar, so many things. And so they had to do so many tests. It was so hard for my mama heart because they had to do so many blood tests. And so they had to prick her heel so many times. Oh my gosh. Ugh. It was very hard for a new mama. But anyway, they kept saying because they would do a series of tests. They would do like 3 in a row. And if she had 3 back-to-back bad results, she would be taken to the NICU. And they kept telling me like, okay, her last 2 tests weren't good. And so this next test, if it's not back to normal, we're gonna have to take her to the NICU. Every single time the 3rd test would be great. And so she never had to go to the NICU. But that was such an emotional roller coaster. So anyway, we left the hospital and I talked about this. Sorry, there's like a tickle in my throat today. I talked about this in one of my previous videos, in my C-section video, that I never felt like I got good instruction from the lactation consultants in the hospital. As soon as I was out of the C-section and taken into recovery, like literally about 10 minutes after I was in recovery and I had my babies, the lactation consultant came in and was like, let's breastfeed. And she helped me tandem breastfeed and taught me how to breastfeed and then left. I don't remember any of it. I think my mind was in shock because like I had just been through this huge surgery and I was starting to get my feeling back and I was holding my brand new babies for the first time and I was just so overwhelmed. I literally have like memory loss of anything she taught me. And then every single day that we were in the hospital, I would have a lactation consultant pop in for about 14 seconds and say, hey, how's it going? Any questions? No? Okay, bye. And I was a brand new mama who had never breastfed before, so I literally didn't know even what to ask, and I didn't know that I was doing it wrong. It was just a whole thing, and I was, again, still very overwhelmed. So part of that is my fault that I didn't ask them to show me again, but I just literally didn't know. But then on top of that, Winnie really should have been treated like a NICU baby. So if you had a baby in NICU, maybe you were instructed all this stuff, but I was not. I was never told something that was very important that I'm going to tell you in a moment. So anyway, we go home and I'm trying to breastfeed these babies. Babies are supposed to lose a little bit of weight after they come out, but there's a percentage that they're not supposed to lose more than that. So a few days after we get home from the hospital, we go back to the pediatrician and Winnie has lost too much weight. And now she is under 4 pounds. She was 3 pounds, 15 ounces. And most NICUs, they don't let a baby leave until they're at least 4 pounds. So we met with a pediatrician at our office. There's a whole bunch of different pediatricians. And so our actual pediatrician wasn't there that day. So they had us meet with another guy. He was so mean. I don't know what was going on with his life that day, but he came in and he had no bedside manner, no tact, no nothing. He was just like, this is not okay. I don't know what, I don't remember exactly what he said, but he was just like, this is dangerous. She should not be this weight at this point. I'm going to give you guys one more day. You're going to come back in tomorrow. And if she has not gained any weight, she's going back to the NICU. Okay, so let me explain. I want what's best for my baby. And if what was best and safest for my baby to go back to the NICU, that's fine. Absolutely, I support that. The NICU is a wonderful place that it exists. But I had not been properly instructed, and I'm gonna tell you what I needed to know. But I had not been properly instructed, and on top of that, I was like a week postpartum, brand new mama, and you're telling me in a not nice way that tomorrow you're gonna take my baby away from me and she's gonna go back into the hospital where she's gonna get an IV. And he didn't tell me like, oh, she'll be in there probably a couple days. He didn't tell me any of that. He just said she's going back to the NICU. And I lost it. I went home and I had the biggest panic attack of my life. And my mom and my husband, I think, were kind of scared for me. It was a postpartum anxiety attack. And so this guy was just did not handle it well, this doctor. And again, it's not that I didn't want her, if she needed to go to the NICU, that's fine. She can go to the NICU. But, like, the way it was handled was horrible. So anyway, what he told us to do was breastfeed her for about 3 to 5 minutes, and then she needed a bottle. And because I was pumping anyway, so in the bottle, I think it was like a teaspoon of formula, and mix it all together just to up her calories, which was fine. So we started doing that. As soon as we got home and I had that panic attack, my cousin is a pediatric PA, and one of the pastors at my church is a pediatric nurse. And so my mom contacted my cousin and I contacted my pastor and explained the situation. They both instantly got back to me with the same exact information. And maybe I should have known this, but I didn't. Nobody told me this at the hospital. When a baby breastfeeds, they burn a lot of calories. That's why so many babies fall asleep while they're breastfeeding, because it takes a lot of energy for them to breastfeed. And so a small baby, a NICU baby, a baby who is having trouble gaining weight, really should not breastfeed for more than 3 to 5 minutes. And then you need to give them a bottle because they burn too many calories trying to breastfeed. No one at the hospital told me that. All the lactation consultants said is, you'll probably breastfeed for about 30 to 45 minutes, and your baby, you're going to breastfeed them until they seem like they're full. That's literally what they told me. And so this whole week that I had been back trying to breastfeed my babies, Winnie literally had been like burning off all of her calories. Nobody had told me that. I had no idea that they burn a bunch of calories, and I had no idea that that it was like literally a workout for them. And she was still learning to breastfeed, so she wasn't getting a whole bunch. So anyway, I don't know how much this is making sense, but if you have a small baby or a baby that is struggling to gain weight, please know that breastfeeding is beautiful, it's great, it's wonderful. And it's good to try and breastfeed them for like 3 to 5 minutes so that, they still are getting used to breastfeeding. But it's okay to give your baby a bottle super early. My baby's never had nipple confusion, none of that. But your baby needs to be fed. And so a bottle guarantees that you know how much they were fed. And so just while you're trying to get them over that hump where they need to gain weight, it's okay to do that. So anyway, I'm still really salty. Oh, and that next day when we went back in, she had gained like 3 or 4 ounces. And the same doctor came back in after she was weighed and she had gained this weight. And I was literally ready to throw down with him. Like if he gave me the slightest sass, I was about to go off on him. But actually, he came in and he apologized for the day before, which I thought was really nice. And he said that he was sorry. He didn't say like, I was having a bad day, but he did say like that he was sorry that he, hadn't been a little bit kinder. I don't remember what he said, but he did apologize. And so I did appreciate that. But anyway, Mama Bear was like ready to make her presence known. But anyway, so she was fine and she started gaining weight with no problem. And now she's a chunky wonk. So, yeah, she literally never had any issue. Putting the formula in, like the teaspoon of formula in with the breast milk was huge, and breastfeeding for only a couple minutes and then doing a bottle until she gained weight, then she could breastfeed for longer. That solved it. But why did no one in the hospital tell me that? She was so small. They should have told me, don't breastfeed her for 45 minutes, for 30 minutes. Breastfeed her for 3 minutes and then do a bottle. They should have told me that. It frustrates me. Anyway, I gotta go. This has been too long. I hope that made sense. If you have any questions about that, please let me know. I'm still like heated over it, so I hope it made sense. But it's just, it was really frustrating, and it didn't have to happen. I'm not trying to not take responsibility. Like you might be like, well, you should have educated yourself. this kind of information isn't available online. Like, and especially if you're a first-time mom, you don't know what to ask and you don't know what to look for, which is why I'm making this video. Now I know so much more. So if this happens in the future, or I can tell other people about it, but like when you are a first-time mom, this is all unknown and you don't know how this is gonna work. So if you come at me and say like, you should have educated, oh my gosh, you guys, the amount of research I did before becoming a mom was, I could have written a book. But then you become a mom and you learn so much more. So that is my heart behind this video. I hope that it was helpful. I hope you learned some stuff. If you have questions, please let me know. I love talking about this. Yes, so comment down below, whatever. If you learned something, I would really appreciate if you give this a thumbs up, or if you subscribe, or all of the above, all that kind of stuff. I'm also on Instagram and TikTok and all that kind of stuff under @BGraceCassidy. Bye!